Welcome to the explainer. We hear this phrase all the time, right? The AI arms race. But what if I told you the way we're all talking about it kind of misses the entire point? What if the real race is for something so much bigger than just a smarter chatbot? Yeah, exactly. The headlines are all buzzing about who's got the best new model this week, but this quote, it really gets to the heart of it. The real question isn't about who has the best app, it's about who's building the operating system for intelligence, the very foundation of, well, pretty much everything to come. So let's forget about flashy new features for a second. This is about who gets to pour the concrete for the digital world we're all going to live in. It's a battle for infrastructure, and that's a game with incredibly high stakes. So yeah, let's really dive into this. Okay, so to really get why this is happening right now, you have to look at what's actually powering this whole shift, and that's the models themselves. I mean, they're getting ridiculously powerful. Let's just take Google's Gemini as an example. You see, a model like Gemini 3, this isn't just another small step up. It's a giant leap. We're talking about truly agentic AI now. That means it doesn't just answer your questions, it can actually do things. It can plan, it can carry out those plans, and it can even check its own work. You give it a massive context window and a deep think mode, and suddenly it's not just an assistant anymore, it's more like a junior team member. And here's the crazy part. Look at the competition. It is a total dead heat. Nobody's running away with it. You've got Gemini crushing it with video and audio. Grok is super fast and plugged into the live web. And then you have GPT, the reliable heavyweight with that huge ecosystem. It's this intense neck-and-neck race that's forcing everyone to think bigger. They're not just trying to build a better chatbot anymore. They're trying to build the next foundational layer of computing. And that brings us to the real game changer. This whole race isn't about building a better app. No. It's about building the thing that makes you forget apps even existed in the first place. And this comparison just nails it. Think about it. For our entire digital lives, you've been the one doing all the work, right? You're the one copying from an email, pasting it into a spreadsheet, then messaging someone on Slack. You are the human integration layer. But in this new world, this cognitive layer, you just state your goal. You say what you want, and the system figures it all out, pulling in the tools it needs. For the first time, the software is actually working for you. The term they're using for this is a thinking substrate, and it's a great way to put it. It doesn't try to be your calendar or your spreadsheet. Instead, it sits on top of them and it knows how to use them. It's like having a universal project manager for your entire digital life. So, what happens when intelligence just becomes part of the background? Like electricity. You don't think about it, you just flick a switch and the lights come on. Well, when something becomes that essential, the power behind it doesn't just disappear. Oh no, it just moves, and it gets way, way more concentrated. And look, history is super clear about this. It doesn't matter if we're talking about railroads, the power grid, or the internet. The people who own the pipes, the rails, the wires, they ultimately end up setting the rules of the game for everyone else. So this isn't a software stack. Not really. It's a power stack. And just look at the layers. You need unbelievable amounts of energy. You need the absolute latest chips, which only a few companies make. You need mountains of data. You need to own the platforms. And you need the political clout to shape the rules. How many companies on Earth can play at all 5 of these levels? You can probably count them on one hand. That's why this isn't some scrappy startup race. It's a geopolitical game of infrastructure. And you have to remember, infrastructure is never neutral. It always has values baked right into it. If an AI is built to maximize efficiency, then efficiency slowly becomes the definition of good work. If it's designed to maximize engagement, it might start prioritizing things that are exciting over things that are, well, true. These values just seep into the background noise of our lives, quietly shaping every choice we make without us even noticing. So what's the real prize in this race? It's not really money. It's a race for the only things we can't make more of. Our time, our attention, and our memory. Think about it. What system is going to manage your calendar? What system will be your go-to for answers? What system will hold your company's knowledge? Whoever controls that, they're not just predicting what you'll do next. They're actively writing it. This leads to this idea of a shadow executive. It's a brilliant term. The AI doesn't bark orders at you. It's much more subtle. It just nudges. It surfaces this report, but not that one. It flags this risk, but downplays another. And before you know it, you're making the decision it wanted you to make all along, and you feel like it was your idea. It makes one path feel completely inevitable.
Okay, so if centralization is the big bad wolf here, the obvious answer is just decentralize it all, right? Make it open for the people. Well, if only it were that simple.
Let's be real for a second. The idea of training a massive frontier model like Gemini 3 in a fully decentralized way, it's basically a fantasy. I mean, the laws of physics and economics just get in the way. You need a city's worth of power and a data center the size of a stadium. A peer-to-peer network can't do that, not right now anyway. It's a nice thought, but it's a distraction from the real conversation.
But here's the good news. It's not an all or nothing game. We don't have to decentralize everything. We just have to be smart about what we decentralize. So, okay, maybe the initial training stays in these huge centralized hubs. Fine. But we can absolutely decentralize running the models. That's inference. And even more critically, we can decentralize who owns it, who governs it, and who profits from it.
And that completely reframes the debate. It's not about open versus closed anymore. It's about governed versus extractive. You can't escape infrastructure, but you can demand a say in how it's run. You can demand choice, a voice, and a real stake in the outcome. So this incredible technology serves everyone, not just a handful of owners. Which brings us to the final piece of this whole puzzle, the one that affects every single one of us, personally. What happens to our jobs, to our lives? What happens when the thing that most of us get paid for, thinking, can be done by a machine, cheaply and at scale? In a world like that, the whole idea of trading your hours for dollars starts to break down. The real economic value isn't in your labor anymore. It's in owning a piece of the AI that's doing the labor. And that means a whole new social contract. It's why people are seriously talking about things like universal basic income or even AI dividends, where everyone gets a slice of the pie from these incredibly productive systems. And the stakes here are just astronomical. We're talking trillions of dollars of new economic value being created. And that value has to go somewhere. This is a massive fork in the road for humanity. One path leads to the biggest concentration of wealth we've ever seen. The other could fund an era of creativity and shared prosperity we can barely even imagine. So it all comes down to this one provocative question, doesn't it? Is this new infrastructure being built just to squeeze every last drop of value out of us? Or is it the tool that finally sets us free to be more than just workers? You know, the quietest revolutions, the ones that happen in the background, are always the hardest to undo. And right now, the concrete for this new world is being poured. The decisions we're all making today about who owns this stuff and who controls it, they're going to be set in stone for a very, very long time. Thanks for joining us.